Good evening. It is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. Happy New Year. Today was our monthly food distribution, and working together with Caring Ministries and Iglesia Bautista Cristo Bien, we conducted our monthly food distribution. We distributed 64 large boxes of food to an estimated 42 families, comprised of around 147 people. It was a good day. Today I want to share with you one of the longer parables in Luke's Gospel, Luke chapter 19, verses 11 to 27, and I'm going to be reading from the New Living Translation, second edition. The crowd was listening to everything Jesus said, and because he was nearing Jerusalem, he told them a story to correct the impression that the kingdom of God would begin right away. He said a nobleman was called away to a distant empire to be crowned king and then return. Before he left, he called together 10 of his servants and divided among them 10 pounds of silver, saying, "Invest this for me while I am gone." But his people hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, "We don't want him to be our king." After he was crowned king, he returned and called in the servants to whom he had given the money. He wanted to find out what their profits were. The first servant reported, "Master, I invested your money and made 10 times the original amount." "Well done," the king exclaimed. "You are a good servant. You've been faithful with a little I entrusted to you, so you'll be governor of 10 cities as your reward." The next servant reported, "Master, I invested your money and made 5 times the original amount." "Well done," the king said. "You'll be governor over 5 cities." But the third servant only brought back the original amount of money and said, "Master, I hid your money and kept it safe. I was afraid because you're a hard man to deal with, taking what isn't yours and harvesting crops you didn't plant." "You wicked servant," the king roared. "Your own words condemn you. If you knew that I'm a hard man who takes what isn't mine and harvests crops I didn't plant, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it." Then turning to the others standing nearby, the king ordered, "Take the money from this servant and give it to the one who has 10 pounds. "But master," they said, "he already has 10 pounds. "Yes," the king replied, "and those who use well what they are given, even more will be given. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. And as for these enemies of mine who didn't want me to be their king, bring them in and execute them right in front of me." Wow. You know, the one point I got out of this story that really spoke to me is that God trusts us. Not many people trust us, but God trusts us. He gave us all the opportunity to be stewards and to take care of what He's entrusted to us. You know, some people don't like that, and they complain that God's in charge and God shouldn't be in charge and they ought to be in charge of their own lives. But you know what? God's in charge, whether we want Him to be or not. God's in charge, whether we think that's appropriate and just or not. And God's in charge, and He trusts us. Some of the people He trusted made very good choices and brought back a good return on the investment. The first 2 servants especially did very, very well. But the third servant was hard-hearted and just took what God gave him and hid it and made sure nobody else saw it and kept it hidden away and didn't do anything with it. And it says the king in this story took it away from him and gave it to the one who was faithful. We've been entrusted with so many things: natural talents and abilities, certain financial resources. We've been entrusted with our families, with relationships, with good, caring, loving people who've invested in us. and how precious it is to take what we've been entrusted with and invest it and use it for the kingdom of God's purposes and make a difference. Our hope and prayer for 2022 is that we can be good stewards of what God has entrusted us with, the relationships, the families, the abilities that He's given us, that we may be good stewards and please God by our investments in His timing. God bless you.